Hi, I'm a panda that plays video games, and in 2008, Visceral Games released a masterpiece in the form of Dead Space. It was one of the very few games I went out of my way to achievement hunt back then. I managed to get all 48 achievements on a long lost Xbox Live account, and I had planned on this video being my playthrough of getting every achievement in the remake. But it's been well over 6 months. More like a year if I'm being honest. And I'm getting nowhere with that. So, instead of showcasing every achievement, we're going for the last and most difficult one, Untouchable, for beating the game on impossible mode where death means a 10-minute unskippable cutscene. Now, you might be wondering why I'm starting this with the end of my first attempt, and that's because as the animation played out I hit pause and was hit with a thought. I could cheese this. I could quit out right now and no one would know. I spoke to my best friend. He called me a bitch! I unpaused, went back to the Kellyan and back to the unskippable cutscene. That attempt only lasted until the early parts of Chapter 3, and during that attempt, I experienced the game in a new light. Despite going through the game twice already to get every one of the achievements, the addition of Perma-Death amplified the game's already superb atmosphere. Every sound, every slight movement sent me, and when the Kellyan exploded, I swore the 3 necromorphs were faster than normal. They looked at me like I look at pizza and tried to run me down. Unfortunately, I dropped them. I gave myself a set of rules after the first attempt.
Isaac, what's happening down there?
Johnson's gone.
Don't panic. Take things slow. Did I follow these rules 100% of the time? No, for I am not a smart panda. The following day, I started up the game for a second attempt. With my rules at the front of my mind, I watched a man get gored through the ribs for a second time, collecting my plasma cutter and landed back where I died in Chapter 3, ready to take my revenge on the hellspawn that ended my first run. They weren't an issue, because as it turns out, those rules are the key to my survival. Sadly, anytime the game threw a holdout section at me, like the engine room in Chapter 3 for example, those rules would fly out the window and I'd barely get out by the skin of my teeth after chugging more medkits than I was okay with. But I moved forward. I picked up the Flammenwerfer and immediately added it to my loadout because this thing melts through brutes easily with a little help from stasis. Kinda like how the contact beam cuts through most enemies in 1 or 2 shots. I love the contact beam, but until I get the schematic to buy ammunition for it, it's inconsistent. But enough about the weapons for now, because there's a moment in Chapter 5, after coming face to face with the Hunter for the first time, where I threw both rules to the side and decided to cosplay a speedrunner and just gun it through the chapter. This, as you can imagine, was a bad idea for 2 reasons. One, being that I was backed into a corner by many stabbing monsters and demonic babies, and the other being that there was a wall demon spitting out turrets every 10 seconds, which ended with them having a small army by the time I could deal with them. Now, you'd think this would teach me not to rush and to actually follow my own rules, and if you do think this, you're wrong. Because not 10 minutes later, Mercer, the creator of the Hunter, decided to cosplay as Andrew Ryan and destroy the air quality in a desperate attempt to kill me. I ran into the room with the line gun and almost died during the animation while picking it up. I was lucky, I had a medkit on standby, otherwise we'd be talking about attempt 3 right now. This near-death experience prompted me to make my way to the bridge and begin printing money with the pulse rifle to make sure I had a decent supply of medkits, ammunition, and a swanky new suit. The game wasn't happy about this and sent a kill squad to deal with my illicit gains. I was in the shop, about to sell the ammo, when out of nowhere, a slasher took a chunk out of my back, sending me into panic mode. I will not be using the pulse rifle as a money printer again. It is not worth the risk. I am sorry, game. Which takes me to hydroponics, where I get absolutely destroyed by a brood, but narrowly escaped before shoving the Leviathan out of food storage, meaning we got out of yet another chapter. Could this be it? Could this be the run? The friend I made on the mining deck said no, so I launched a stick through his abdomen. Fuck you, Steve. I launched a beacon, proceeded to the communications relay, and faced off against the Leviathan for the second time this run, and it was not happy. It turned me into a set of meaty chunks. Steve was right. Fuck you, Steve. Attempt 3 didn't get out of Chapter 3. Isaac was cut to ribbons by a fan, and the ghost of Steve removed the ability to progress in Attempt 4 by having an explodey boy shunt a battery through the floor and soft-locking me. I was mad. Attempt 4 was going to be the run. I could feel it in my loins, but no, that nugget-armed fuck denied me and erased 4 hours of progress. Attempt 5 started with an apology in the form of a large medpack drop, and it was then, not even out of Chapter 1, when a part of me knew this was it. This was the run. Even if I forgot to stop the bodies before getting the captain's rig in Chapter 2, or didn't pay attention to my surroundings on multiple occasions, but no mistake was more damning than the one I made on the mining deck, where I'd completely forget that Isaac is a human that requires oxygen. You'd think that almost losing the run once to a lack of oxygen would be enough to make me remember to pay attention to my timer. And you'd be wrong. Have you not been paying attention? I lost Attempt 3 to a fan! The second time was back in Chapter 8 with the Leviathan's Remnant. What makes this more lucky is that I usually sell off every oxygen tank I come across. I either didn't get the chance to sell the one I had, or I missed it when selling. Regardless of which it was, I am so happy that it was in my inventory, because if not for that, we'd be talking about Attempt 6, and we are not going to be talking about a 6th attempt. The Valor went significantly easier than I anticipated, and that's likely because I brought the Force gun with me to deal with the speedsters. Could also be because once I got out of the nuke room, I was locked in. We watched Hammond go straight to the choir above and begin Chapter 10. We're closer than we've ever been before, and the marker knew it and went on the offensive. It told me I'd failed, that my channel is meaningless, that no one will watch this video, and that it's going to send me back to that 10-minute intro sequence. I ignored it and cleared through Chapter 10's objectives, burning the hunter down to atoms, when suddenly a tentacle would appear and threaten the run, and even though I panicked, I defeated it. That single piece of calamari was on my mind for so much of the run, and to cut it down without an issue. All I have to do is walk it in from here. On to Chapter 11, where I claim the marker for myself and witness the traitor do traitor things before dropping a save and heading on down to Aegis 7. I've already lost one run to a softlock. I refuse to lose another to one. Thankfully, I didn't encounter the softlock, but I did have the most chaotic time when putting the marker on its pedestal. There were spitters, pregnants, and demon babies, because of course they'd be there to try and stop me, but they didn't. They had their chance to best me, and that was on the Ishimura. It didn't stop them from trying, and somehow doing damage to me during a cutscene, but their attempts to kill me failed. Kendra showed up and did traitor things before getting turned into a fine paste, which meant that the only thing that stood between me and the final achievement was the hive mind. It spat explosive rocks and summoned dudes. I dealt with them. It spat literal acid and whipped its tentacles out. They hurt, but I had the med packs to heal through the pain. In a last-ditch effort, it picked me up, and with the weight of losing 7.5 hours bearing down on me, I was aiming worse than a drunk stormtrooper, but somehow, I landed enough shots and I fell the mighty beast. I boarded the ship and left 87 behind me, and once the achievement popped, I went off for a private celebration. No, not that. Get your mind out of the gutter. I'm a panda. We don't do that. That was arguably one of, if not the hardest thing I've done in gaming, and if you've made it this far into the video, thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, drop a like and subscribe. I'll see you next time.